Hello and welcome to this. It's probably going to be the first part of a review of this series from 2012 called Earth 2. Before we start, let me start off and say what Earth 2 is. Back in the, as most of you already know, back in the Silver Age when DC rebooted their superheroes, they made new versions of most of their already existing superheroes, the Flash, Green Lantern, etc., etc. So basically, they used they started off the multiverse. In the multiverse, the then current Earth was Earth 1, and Earth 2 is where the Golden Age counterparts of the heroes lived, and every once in a while they would cross over the dimensions. So this is not it. I'm a great fan of the Golden Age heroes version of the Golden Age versions of the heroes, but this is not it. This is a new attempt by DC Comics back in 2012 to launch the Golden Age, you could say, versions of their superheroes, but in a new way. So let's start off with the first 6 issues, which I have in a trade paperback. As you can see from the cover, the Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, pretty much the regular, let's call them, versions of them, not the multiverse versions of them, exist, but it's not quite so. So we get introduced into this world. It's Earth 2, but 2 is written with a number, not letters. And this world is in a doomsday scenario. It's pretty much end of the world stuff. It has been invaded by Apocalypse, not Darkseid himself, but his cohorts, his legions, and mostly parademons, led by Steppenwolf, as we will see down the line. And in this world, we're pretty much told early on there exists Batman, Bruce Wayne, Diana as Wonder Woman, and Kal-El Superman. Pretty much the versions, or very close to the versions that anyone would recognize, mainstream versions, let's call them. In this world that has been invaded, they are fighting the forces of Apocalypse, and pretty much they have a scheme to stop the invasion, but it's a last-ditch attempt, and pretty much they're going to die trying to do that. They will succeed, but they will sacrifice themselves in the process. We also see that there exists a Robin, a female Robin, which it's pretty easy to find out that it's Bruce Wayne's and Catwoman's daughter, Helena, and also there is Supergirl, which is Kara Zor-El. I think it's Kara. I'm not pretty sure about the Zor-El in this version, but yeah, pretty much it's Power Girl. We also get a glimpse of a team of the world in this Earth. It has combined its forces. There is like a world government and a world army, and Al Pratt here is a sergeant leading a mission for this army. We get to see Mercury from the old gods, or Hermes, or Hermes as he's called in Greek, telling Wonder Woman they're pretty much done, the old gods, you know the story. And sorry about this graphic content, Steppenwolf kills Wonder Woman and Superman in just like 2 pages, and later on Batman sacrifices himself, planting a virus into the portal that brings into Earth the troops of Apocalypse, and in the process also Robin, Helena, and Batgirl Kara, and they they fade into the blast, as you can see. So we begin to get introduced into the old slash new versions of the superheroes. Oh, I forgot to mention, in this world it's pretty much stated that there are no superheroes apart from the from basically Supergirl and Wonder Woman and Superman, plus the Batman and Robin, but they don't have superpowers. Pretty much they're called Wonders, every superhero, and that's about them. It is pretty much mentioned. This world doesn't have like the superhero boom of the Golden or Silver Age, whether they be powered or regular human ones. So here we see Alan Scott, and this is 5 years after the sacrifice and the pretty much the end of the war with Apocalypse. At least it hasn't like gotten any worse. The Earth is trying to heal, and the humans too. We meet Jay Garrick, a very young Jay Garrick. So Jay Garrick gets his powers directly given to him by Mercury, the power of speed, and this is him as a Flash. And we also see Mr. Terrific from what we would call the main universe being transported into this reality, this Earth, and being met by Holt, by Terry Sloan, which is the name of the original Mr. Terrific. This is Mercury giving his powers away before he, let's say, dies or goes into obscurity. And the World Army is chasing down on the Flash. And here we see Alan Scott's backstory. He has this boyfriend of Asian origin, and he's like in the old Golden Age comics, he is the owner of a big media corporation. And basically what happens is there is a train accident right when they were getting sort of engaged, and everyone is pretty much dead, and Alan Scott is horribly injured, and he's met by the Starfire, if I remember correctly. It's not mentioned in this comic. So the Earth's like magical Earth power, whatever, and he's given the power of the Green Lantern, and the ring here only like it's like a reminder of his engagement to his now deceased fiance. And while the Flash is just getting accustomed with his powers, he meets Hawkgirl, who is a version, she's called Kendra too, like the original one, but they have changed her name a little bit. And basically this is you're meeting the new like versions of the Just Society heroes here. This is the new version of the Green Lantern, the new version of the old Green Lantern, I should say. And their first like meet up and fight will be against a version of Solomon Grundy, which is kind of the avatar of Rot, if you ever got into the Animal Man stories from that that time in the DC universe. Pretty much he's destroying the Earth. Oh, here we skip to and we meet the Al Pratt. We met him as a sergeant of the World Army, and 5 years later, he's a captain, and basically he's going to be the new Atom, which is my favorite of this part of the storyline. And pretty much the heroes meet up in Washington DC, while the Solomon Grundy is trying to destroy everything, the Earth and Capitol Hill and the U.S. president. They meet up and try to fight him. Pretty much he's pretty much invincible as far as their powers go, because he constantly reshapes himself. He's pretty much undead. And here we see Captain Atom, who is still a soldier and agent of the world government, descending down. And as you can see, the Atom now has like both superpowers of becoming a giant and having his nuclear fists. And he's a no-nonsense guy, while the others are still trying to find what they're trying to do. He's a soldier on a mission. I very much like the costume and very much like his attitude. Sadly, we won't be seeing too much of him. We go down the story. They're trying to destroy the Solomon Grundy character. They end up fighting each other, as always happens when superheroes meet. And while they're doing that, Solomon Grundy fights back. And basically he gets like destroyed or sent back through the power of Earth, the power of Green. Green Lantern descends into the state of rot. He basically Hades, you could say, from where like Solomon Grundy gets his power. And in a magical way, he denies his descent into Hades, into oblivion, into the rot, and picks up, finds out that Solomon Grundy gets his power from the Earth too, but you know, the balance, the life and death balance. So he pretty much gets his power from death, from rot, and he flies him to the moon and leaves him there where there is nothing he can drain power from. And he's saved by Hawkgirl, and our heroes meet up again, and they do not form a team because Alan Scott Green Lantern immediately flies away. So that's pretty much the introduction to the series, and it's pretty action-packed. You get a lot of good artwork. It's really there is constant action. There is constant introduction to this world. The main points I want to stress out again as the story began, and we'll see how it develops down the line, is this world used to have, let's say, 3 superheroes, and that was pretty much it, and they sacrificed themselves to save it, and it didn't really have any superheroes, at least non-superheroes. They're called, by the way, they're called Wonders here, although okay, I can understand like superpowered beings being called Wonders, but Batman was not like a wonder per se. In a sense, he was, but anyway. So basically, it's a world that survived an invasion from Apocalypse. It's scarred. It doesn't have superheroes, active superheroes, and new superheroes spring into action through different ways. Basically, the 3 major ones, the new trifecta, we would call it, the Green Lantern, the Flash, and Hawkgirl, plus the Atom, who is already a superhero for the past 5 years, but working for the government, let's say the world government. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back with the continuation of the Earth 2 story. Thank you. Bye.